Ooh. We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them gardens instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll be a land building up ancient cities, raising up devastations from old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come, build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits once faint and once weak, where like oaks of righteousness stand her people. Oh, come, build the land, my people we seek. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
Hello, I'm Reverend Ruth Vann Lillian. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Emerald Coast. We are a covenantal community founded on loving kindness and a common devotion to our free faith. We recognize all the earth as sacred ground, and we welcome each other into this virtual space. We especially welcome those visiting with us today. We are so glad you're here. We invite you to check out our website and our Facebook page to learn more about us. We hope to touch hearts, teach minds, challenge spirits, and comfort souls. May you find refreshment and restoration in our service today.
We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people united in love and thirsting for restorative justice.
May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it ignite us in radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action.
This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals.
May it spark in us a spirit of humility.
Hi, I'm Amanda, and I have a story for you called Trying. No matter how old or young you are, there are always new things we're trying to do, or old things we're trying to do even. And sometimes it's not easy. We have to keep on trying until we can succeed. So I'm going to share my screen. This book is by Kobe Yamada and illustrated by Elise Hurst. At the very beginning, they give us a clue to the moral. Attempt what you can't in order to find out what you can. So it starts in the studio of a famous sculptor. Here he is up on his ladder. He's making a really giant sculpture. And a boy walks in. He's really mesmerized with this wonderful sculpture. And he says, "How do you do that?" I didn't realize I had said it out loud, but the sculptor looked over and replied, "You simply do it." "Oh no, I could never do that." "How do you know?" he said. "I just know." Confused, I walked away. He must be joking, I thought. But as I left, I couldn't help wondering what it would be like to create something so incredible. When I returned, the sculptor looked over at me and asked, "How is your sculpture coming along?" "I'm just here to watch." The best way to give your talents an opportunity is to try, he said. I'd rather just watch. I can't mess things up if I just watch. Ah, yes, he nodded. If you do nothing, it feels safe, but everything stays the same. If you do nothing, there is less to experience, less to love, less to learn. The fear of failing is the scariest part, and it stops most people from even starting. The only way to get where you want to go is to take a step in that direction. And the best way to do that is to begin. It was all I could think about. Even as I slept, I dreamed of creating beautiful things. I was excited to get started. But as I was working, I realized something was wrong. With every stroke, I felt a little more deflated. With every blow, my disappointment grew. This was not turning out the way I had imagined. Now he's sculpting out of stone. Very hard to do. He's got to hit the chisel with his mallet here and break that rock in just the right place. Why did I think I could do it? Why had I let myself care about this so much? The next time I saw the sculptor, he asked about my work. I told him it was no good and I had to quit. Why would you do that? He asked. Because it feels awful to want something so badly and then just be disappointed. Yes, the sculptor replied, disappointment hurts. But failure is temporary and in many ways necessary. It shows us how something can't be done, which means we're a little closer to finding out how it can. When you first tried to walk, you fell, but you picked yourself up and tried again. You were willing to fall over and over and over, and that is why you succeeded. How do I know? Because you're standing in front of me now. I had tried and I had failed. Now he was asking me to try again? What good would that do? I'd already proven I couldn't do it. But if I was honest, I wanted to believe that I could. So even though I worried I wasn't good enough, I decided to try again. I worked and I worked and I worked some more. And while I could see it was a little better, it still wasn't at all what I wanted it to be. I stormed up to the sculptor. See, I told you I wasn't any good, and this proves it. Are you happy now? Yes, he replied, I'm happy. It's good to see you sculpting. But it's terrible. I don't even know what I'm making anymore. You're making progress, he explained. I see talents emerging. I see risks being taken. I see courage. I see caring. I see perseverance. Yes, I see much progress indeed, and I hope you will keep trying. So I tried again and again and again. He still looks pretty discouraged, doesn't he? As I stepped back and looked at my work, I had to admit I wished I were better. I went to talk to the sculptor, and he asked me to go for a walk with him. He said, I know it can be hard when things don't turn out the way you hoped, but be proud of your failures. I know I am, every single one of them. I can't imagine you ever failing. He laughed, more times than I can count. But each time you fail, you get a little smarter, a little braver, a little stronger. The truth is, we are all failures. The dreamers, the doers, the creators. Being a failure means you loved something. You cared. It means you stepped forward. You didn't hold back. You tried. That's why I brought you here. He gestured to all the statues around him. These are my friends. These are my failures. And I'm grateful for every one of them because they helped me to become who I am today. I will tell you a secret, the sculptor confided. I am now much closer to the end of my life than the beginning. And time passes whether we have the courage to do something good and worthwhile or we don't. It's been years since he's been gone. I will always treasure the time I spent with him, and I will never forget our conversations or what he taught me. When we make it safe to fail, we make it safe to succeed. You can see he's gotten older here. He's been sculpting now all his life. He's gotten better. He's beginning to make things he's pleased with, he's proud of, and now he is the sculptor up there on the ladder in the big studio. And look who's shown up, a girl who's watching him. And she says, how do I do that? Think back to the beginning of the story. Remember the first page? When he was the one walking into the sculptor's studio and he was asking, how do you do that? Sometimes the only way to find out is to try and give it your best shot. At the end of this book, let me stop our share here. At the end of the book, the author gives us another little nugget of wisdom, which I really like. He says, may you doubt your doubts, challenge your challenges, and dream your dreams. No matter what they are, that's all we can do, isn't it? Challenge our challenges, dream our dreams, and keep on going, one foot in front of the other, day by day. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Friends, let us consider the needs in our community, the joys and the concerns of our friends and comrades as we spend a moment of silence together, and then I will close us with a few words. As we face the deceptions that are thrown at us, as we struggle with the injustices that we observe and experience, as we wrestle with the temptation to give up, let us take heart. We have a voice. We have our individual voices, and we have a collective prophetic voice. Let us find hope and strength, remembering that we are part of a powerful community, and we can find ways to make a difference, to make things better. There is much to look forward to. Amen. Shalom. Blessed be. This is the sermon for May 17th, A Tale of UU Courage. In 2006, the State of Israel formally proclaimed Unitarian mission workers and Unitarian Service Committee members, Martha and Waitstill Sharp, righteous among the nations. This particular rare honor is bestowed upon non-Jews who risked their own lives to save Jewish persons during the Holocaust. The Sharps were 2 of only 5 Americans to be so honored. All of us will experience small moments in our lives when we have the chance to help someone unexpectedly. Opportunities to be kind abound every day. And occasionally, there is the chance to do something more than helpful, something that is significant, even life-changing for someone else. Sometimes we will know what we have done and appreciate its importance. Other times, we may never see the results of the effort that we made. My mother's best friend once spotted a toddler walking along the edge of a busy street all alone. She stopped the car, put on the emergency blinkers, got out and ran and scooped the child up and out of danger to safety. She stood on the sidewalk looking up and down the row of houses for several minutes. Suddenly, a young woman burst out of the front door of one, screaming the name of her child at the top of her lungs. She ran to my mother's friend and gratefully took her child back into her arms. That was a time when she could see, my mother's friend could see the results of what she had done. These days we are surrounded by bona fide heroes risking their lives in the COVID-19 pandemic. First responders, medical professionals, cleaners, grocery store employees, garbage workers, and so many others. How many people will such heroes help every day? How often will they know how their help turned out? How many strangers will they help and never see again? How many of us will have the chance to be real heroes? How many of us would take the opportunity if it were offered to us? It takes extraordinary people to step willingly into those shoes, make those sacrifices, take those risks. They lift us all up by their courage. Waitstill Sharp was 37 in early 1939, a Unitarian minister serving the Unitarian Society of Wellesley Hill, west of Boston. And his wife of 10 years, Martha, was 33, when they received a late-night summons to the home of close friend and vice president of the American Unitarian Association, Reverend Everett Baker. He told them they had been chosen for an emergency relief mission to Czechoslovakia in response to the Nazi threat increasing there following the Munich Pact of September of 1938. Baker said the Sharps had been selected for the first intervention against evil undertaken by the denomination. Well, actually they were the 18th couple selected for the mission. The first 17 had turned it down. War was coming in Europe. The previous candidates had understandably not wanted to take such risks. Waitstill was immediately inspired by the possibility of actually working to oppose the Nazis instead of just preaching about it. But he and Martha had 2 small children, and there was his parish to consider. He would not go without his wife, and Martha was truly torn between her commitment to her faith and her service with her husband and her love for and commitment to their children. Waitstill felt confident that loving care could be provided for the children for the months they would be apart, but Martha had to think about it and seek support and counsel. Then, with 2 weeks' notice, they agreed and prepared for departure to Europe. Their first tour of duty was 6 months in Czechoslovakia, where they worked frantically to find food and shelter for refugees from other parts of Europe who were fleeing the Nazis. They also worked on procuring documents and visas for dissidents, artists, intellectuals, and scientists in a world where few nations wanted Jewish refugees and anti-Semitism was running high. They managed to help a number of such refugees to leave the continent and get to Britain disguised as domestic servants, laborers, and farm workers. Martha and Waitstill both put themselves in danger many times to assist their clients and help them get out of Europe, away from the Nazis. They also made financial transactions on behalf of those who had to remain hidden. Waitstill devised ways of hiding money in various locations with the intention that those refugees would escape and find the money waiting for them. Not long after Germany took over all the country, the Sharps were warned to flee, and they made it back to America in September of 1939. Can you imagine living in such a world, where at any moment an armed soldier could grab you without explanation and haul you away for interrogation, torture, imprisonment without cause, could send you to a concentration camp or worse? The Sharps watched such things happen every day, and by engaging in their covert operations of justice work, they risked such a fate for themselves. In the next year at home, as they attempted to resume normal life with their children and their church, they added multiple appearances, interviews, lectures, and legal advocacy and lobbying in their continued efforts to get visas for Jews trying to escape Europe to the United States, while the U.S. still hid its head in a post-World War I isolationism. Waitstill confirmed with the AUA leaders about creating a permanent organization to continue the humanitarian and justice work in Europe, both during and after the intensifying conflict. Modeled after a similar Quaker organization, Waitstill suggested the name Unitarian Service Committee. Some years later, it merged with the Universalist Service Committee to form the current UU Service Committee, which continues advocacy and justice work around the globe, and which is our Split the Plate partner for this month. Our heroes were not to be left to retire to regular life, however. With the formation of the USC came the demand from the leadership of the denomination that Waitstill and Martha return to Europe and open an office in Paris. Feeling that they had been drafted and under the implied threat of damage to Waitstill's ministerial career if they refused, the 2 frustrated and reluctant heroes left their children in the care of others and headed for Europe again in June of 1940, even as the Nazis invaded and rode over country after country. Arriving in Lisbon, they quickly realized that opening an office in Paris was out of the question under Nazi occupation. Instead, they followed the urging of several resistance contacts and got to work on buying and delivering milk and other foodstuffs to the starving children in the south of France. Facing obstacles at every turn, they also encountered friends and helpers, often unexpected, as they expanded their mission. In Vichy, France, they resumed their work for the Czech refugees and soldiers escaping the Nazi forces, while waiting for the milk and other relief supplies to arrive by train. When those did finally arrive, Martha was largely responsible for the distribution to a populace suffering terribly under the conditions of wartime occupation. It was during her daily interactions with the poor, starving families that Martha began a new project to arrange for a transport of children to the United States. Even as she suffered from separation from her own children, she was overwhelmed by the sad faces and starving little bodies that she saw everywhere and the hopelessness in the eyes of their parents. The milk and food deliveries were grossly insufficient to the enormous need Martha witnessed, and she became determined to do more. Though they had intended to return home in the fall, the pressing urgency of their mission held them in France. Waitstill became involved in the effort to rescue intellectual enemies of the Nazi state who were in hiding, and Martha began work on the transport of children from Vichy, France. When asked by one such rescued novelist why he engaged in such dangerous work, after assuring him that he and Martha were not being paid at all by the service committee, Waitstill told him that as a Unitarian minister and a man of faith, I believe the will of God is to be interpreted by the liberty of the human spirit. So I do what I do without any piety at all, but ad magna gloria libertatis humani spiriti, to greater glory and freedom of the human spirit. The story of the Sharps and their mission with the Unitarian Service Committee in war-torn Europe is well worth reading in Defying the Nazis, The Sharps War, a book written by their grandson, Artemis Joukowsky. Some of you may be familiar with the Ken Burns documentary based on the book and shown on PBS, where clips are still available and the film may be purchased. In his epilogue, Joukowsky notes that the temptation to sum up his grandparents' work in terms of numbers of people who were helped is futile. In the chaos of war, many records were lost and memories were unreliable. We know that Martha saved the lives of the 27 children, mostly Jewish, by arranging their transport to the United States and helping place them with foster families. They never saw their own parents again. Waitstill also arranged for a fair number of scientists and artists and writers to escape from Nazi-occupied territory. Hundreds were fed, housed, moved, financed, and helped to escape, but following up on how many actually survived is not possible. Joukowsky writes, "We do know that Martha and Waitstill were there in the midst of unfathomable horror, doing freedom's work with loving commitment. Perhaps what matters most is not the number they were able to help, but that they chose to help at all. With little more to guide them but innate decency, a keen sense of fairness, and a deep love for each other, the Sharps stood up to unspeakable evil and made a difference. By any other measure, Martha and Waitstill Sharp were heroes." Most of us will never have the chance for this level of heroism and would not choose it if we could. But learning about such folk, fellow Unitarians who risked so much for the cause of human freedom, inspires us to look around and see what we can find to make a difference in our time and place. The reluctant yet compelled heroes of this world need lots of support and help to fulfill their missions. We can be the helpers. We can also make a difference. Our no-contact Feed Them From Home food drive will take place this Thursday, May 21st. Please gather your non-perishable items and have them ready to set out on your doorstep for pickup, and check your email for instructions from Newsnet. We will need everyone who is donating to let us know so we can get you on our pickup list. A big thanks to Shampa Dada and Sharon Freeman for coordinating our efforts. Also, please, if you didn't earlier, take your credit card, go to our website, and make your donation to our PayPal link. You do not need your own PayPal account. Our Sunday offerings have been low since we started online, and that means that our partner organizations with whom we divide the proceeds of our offering plate are not receiving very much support from us. Please support our church and, this month, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee with your generous donation. Working for justice is not always easy, but it is absolutely necessary. We must help the heroes. Amen. Shalom. Blessed be.
Cut.
Cut.
We extinguish this flame, a mere wisp of matter in the process, almost as insubstantial as the thought of it.
Yet our civilization has harnessed the power of such a flame to drive and shape a new world.
So may it be with the power of our thoughts that in truth and love they may drive and shape a new world.